Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Pretenders and Contenders Coaches Show. I'm your host, Coach Devon Powell, head coach of Law High School football and assistant basketball coach. And with me tonight, I have my co-host, Coach Mitchell, now of Riverdale Baptist football. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I was telling you earlier, I'm tired of this cold weather, but I'm doing good.
Hopefully, we'll get a break tomorrow. It should warm up a tad.
Hopefully it lasts and doesn't just be one day and that's it. Yeah. So hey, we got a special show tonight. We got a special guest coming in. We got, excuse me, we got Coach Nick Gould, head coach. I mean, not head coach, but assistant coach at Howard University football, linebacker coach and head of recruiting. He's coming in tonight to help our young athletes and parents understand the game of recruiting and how the landscape has changed nowadays because it's a lot different from even 6-7 years ago. So it's going to be a great show. He was heading home. He was in a little traffic, so he's going to join us in a couple of minutes. But Coach, how you been? How's your winter been going so far, and your transition?
Winter is good. Transitioning is still going on, so I'm still kind of waiting to get the final okay with Riverdale. So we're just kind of waiting and going through that process. Hopefully that'll be soon, so we can get going with what needs to be done on the next level. Get our recruiting started where we're at recruiting now. So get our recruiting going and get some kids over so we can get at it.
Gotcha. Now, will you be doing special teams there as well?
Yep, still staying with special teams coordinator, associate head coach with Coach Powell, Damian Powell, who is the head coach over at Riverdale. So yeah, still sticking with special teams because I kind of love that unit.
Gotcha.
And hopefully Coach
So,
Gould will talk about a little bit about how special teams can get on the bus, because that's my spiel. It's like, if you can't get on it offense, defense, special teams is always an avenue. So hopefully he'll touch on that a little bit.
right. And I think that a lot of kids, a lot of young athletes don't understand the importance of special teams. They look at it as a break, and really, special teams is one of the main focal points of football.
For
Um,
sure.
if you got a weak special teams, that's going to put your offense and your defense in bad positions that you don't want to be in. So
Yeah, so it's not a break. It's definitely not a break. We put the same amount of energy in
exactly.
special teams as we do in offense and defense. So there is no break time. Maybe the fourth quarter we'll switch some folks out, but it's not a break time.
Yeah, I just had that conversation with my coaches not too long ago when we had our coaches meeting. I was like, look, special teams got to be tight this year. We're not using it as a form of getting players playing time. Like, you got to earn your playing time on special teams
Correct.
because it's an important piece, very important piece.
100%. How's basketball going?
So, well, because of the weather, we've been off for the last week. Um, and they just closed schools again for tomorrow. So that's the third makeup game we're gonna have to add to it. It's been up and down. It's been up and down for our Spartans this year. I've said it many times. Losing 8 seniors is a big drop. So we're relying on a lot of young pieces to help out this year, and it's going slow. So we're right around 500 right now. Um, and hopefully once we pick back up from these weather delays that we can get rolling and go head into the playoffs looking pretty strong. So
Well, the good thing on that is when you have young players, they'll be back next year. So, and they'll be
yes,
stronger.
that is a good thing.
So that's a good thing.
Yep, very good thing. I think we only have 2 seniors on the team this year.
Yeah, that's a
So
great thing. Yeah.
a lot of pieces coming back. One of our better players, Hakeem Oyekin, is only a freshman. He's leading the team in scoring right now, and he's uh, he's definitely a guy that's going to get better. And we're looking forward to seeing how he develops over the next few years. So,
That's it. You have him for 3 more after this, so that's a good thing.
yep, 3 more. All right, so it looks like Coach that made it out of the traffic. So we're gonna add to the stage Coach
Crazy.
Nick Gould. How's it going, Coach?
Man, it's going amazing. This weather and this transit home wasn't. It was an hour and a half to get from Georgia Ave to Largo, which is insane. Like, geez, more Christmas. How you guys doing this
Yeah,
evening?
Good.
we're doing good. How about yourself?
No
Man,
complaints. Other than traffic in DC.
that part. I
Hey,
was
listen,
amazed enough to do that.
every time you go to DC, it's going to be an hour, hour and a half, even though it's only 10 miles. So you just got to lock in.
That part. So, but I'm not
Yeah,
bad. I'm not bad. So,
well, Coach,
let's
we
go and get this
appreciate you,
party
man, for
started.
coming on tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
All right. So before you get into the meat and potatoes of the night, go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit about yourself and your coaching journey.
My name is Coach Nicholas Gould. I am the linebacker coach and the recruiting coordinator at Howard University. Been here for 4 consecutive years, 7 total. I was also here in 27 and 2018 with Mike London. Before that, I was with Damon Wilson, my Bowie State family back in Bowie, Maryland, and kind of just been lucky. My college journey has only allowed me to travel just down the street. You know what I mean? I've been one of those lucky ones. Won a couple championships with Howard in 23 and 24, no, 22 and 23. So been blessed so far. I'm a local guy. Traveled all my life from DC to PG County to Montgomery County. I was a little bit of a troubled kid, so we kind of moved around a bit. But um, I'm here to coach up some great young men now at Howard University, and we're going to try to get things headed in the right direction, back at the ship.
Gotcha. Um, it's always nice, especially when you got a show as we do here, man, where we're trying to focus on our kids in PG County, where you got
Yes,
a local guy that's doing
yes,
big things and can come back and give a good word back to our young brothers and sisters out there, man.
yes, 100%.
That is
So
always a good
we're
thing.
gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and get into it, man, because we on an hour time limit tonight. Um, so
Oh,
we can go ahead and
get into it.
yeah,
All
we're
right.
gonna
So
get into it. So
let me see if this thing.
oh, sorry, wrong one. Here we go. First topic. So first topic we want to discuss tonight, Coach. What is recruiting?
Recruiting is just the ability to bring in local athletes and national recruits by building relationships to play the game that we love, this game of football. At Howard University, it's slightly different just because of the academic nature of our university, where not only do we have to bring in really good athletes who play this game of football that we really, really love, but they also have to compete in the classroom at one of the best academic institutions nationally. And so some of our programs are accredited to be in the top 25, top 100 in the nation, and some certain programs. And so, and especially with us also now being a R1 research university, it's just finding the bright and the best that could compete in both. So we always have a challenge. It's always hard to recruit at Howard because Howard University wants to uphold its name and prestige of the academic side of it, but we also want to win on the football field because we're just competitive guys. And so we kind of got a balance of both, best of both worlds. And Howard really is one of those places for players and coaches where you're going to see coaches transition to other programs just because you can't keep people here. Once you come to Howard and you train at Howard and you learn at Howard, it prepares you to be able to travel on to other places to kind of impart your wisdom onto those universities and communities. And it's just a different place than kind of everywhere else.
Tell us a little bit about the GPA. You mentioned the academic side of it. What GPAs are you looking for when you're recruiting?
So that one's even more interesting. And so the university itself is looking more for a 3.8, 3.6 GPA, kind of somewhere in around there. But for us, we're just looking for 3.0 students. They've allowed us as an athletic department to be able to float in that GPA field just because they also know that for some of our local guys, a 2.7 and 2.8 might be under of what we want, but with the support of our academic department, with the support of our staff, we can get them to be at that standard. Like this past season, our freshman who came in this past year had a team GPA, a group GPA of a 2.9 GPA. And so some of those guys who were 3.3s came into our program. Some of those guys who were at 2.7s came into our program. But for us, we try to find the character, the nature of that student athlete who, like myself, might have messed up as a freshman. Like as a freshman in high school, I went to Springbrook High School in Montgomery County. My freshman year in high school, I had a 1.71. But I ended up picking my grades up and graduating with a 3.3. But for some of those kids who kind of struggled and teetered around that 2.7, what we really pay attention to and look at is, are you improving in your grades? So if you started at a 1.71, did you get another semester where you were at a 1.71, or did you improve from a 1.71 to a 2.5 to a 2.8 to a 3.1? And so as long as we see that maturation in your academic progress, then we can say, okay, this student athlete could be here at Howard University.
Got it. Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next question is, what are the different requirements at different schools?
All right. So this one is kind of the one that's got a lot of meat and potatoes behind it. And so different requirements at different universities are really more so about what is a university looking for? What is a university, right? So you have your public universities who are founded by state governments, who offer lower tuition for residents and have in-state and out-of-state tuition. You have universities who are private in nature, kind of like Howard is, where it's funded by tuition and endowments and donations from different corporations, different companies, and even alumni. You have your research universities where we are now R1 research program, where it's a large institutions focused on research for doctoral universities, especially with us having our own hospital connected to the university. It kind of gives us, it kind of allows us to flow in that private to research. You have your HBCUs, which Howard is as well. And it's just institutions that are established to serve our African-American communities. And then you have liberal arts colleges who focus on undergraduate education in the humanities, sciences, and behavioral sciences, traditionally for around a 4-year curriculum, right? So some of the different types that I want to expose people to are your FCS academic focused private institutions. So you have your Howard universities, you have your Lehigh universities, you have your Stonehill College, you have your William and Mary University. Then when you focus on your FCS scholarship focused state universities, you're talking about University of North Alabama, you're talking about Tennessee Tech, you're talking about Morgan State University, right? When you're talking about some of your D3s, your D3 universities are your schools that are academic in nature, academic basis, just because those students are going to a Division 3 school are going to school for the academic piece. So even the student athletes that have to get into a Division 3 school, you either have to have a certain GPA or you have to meet a character requirement and something to get in. So you have to have a high character in nature. And those schools are like the Albright colleges in Pennsylvania, your Bethany colleges in West Virginia, and your Bridgewater colleges in Northern Virginia. And then you have your D2 schools who are scholarship focused state universities, like your Edward Waters College, which is a HBCU down in Florida, your Delta State Universities, which is in Mississippi, and Catawba University, which is in North Carolina. And then the other caveat, the other opening that now people with this new recruiting landscape because of the transfer portal, you have to be open to your NAIA programs. Your NAIA programs are private, faith-based college and universities that do have athletic programs. They do play really good brand of football, and they expose student athletes to just a different culture. It's not an NCAA, but for most of these NAIA schools, they provide more scholarships per team than certain sports compared to NCAA Division 1. So your teams are going to be your Arkansas, I believe it's Arkansas Baptist College. You're going to have your Bluefield University in Virginia, not to be confused with Bluefield State that's in West Virginia. And then another one is Arizona Christian University. And so some of these schools are just what you want to be able to expose yourself to, open yourself up to, because now, because of the new landscape and how people recruit and what people do, you want to really be able to start to take interest in these opportunities at these other institutions, because the transfer portal is open. It's not going anywhere. It's going to get crazier as the years go along, but also you're getting good coaching. You're getting a good brand of football. People go to the NFL from NAIA schools. They go to the NFL from FCS schools. They go to the NFL from Division 2 or Division 3 schools. So if the NFL is your dream, is your goal, they can find you at any place that you play at if you're playing really good football and focusing on the skill set. But some of these NAIA schools do have GPA requirements like NCAA programs, but you can gray shirt, which is, hey, as a high school student athlete, I'm not eligible to play right away. I can't be on scholarship, but I can't practice. And so I can come into a program as a gray shirt, come in, be on academic probation, or try to prove academically that I belong at the institution, just go to meetings, just come around the facility, but really just focus on going to class, because at the end of the day, you want to be at a place that education is an importance, and walking away with your degree is the most important piece. Because again, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but some of these guys are transferring to 3 or 4 schools and they're not getting their degree while they're on scholarship. And so that either means a program has to pay for it, or you have to pay for it out of your pocket to finish with your degree. And it makes no sense that you go to school for 4 years and you don't have a degree to walk away with it. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the academic schools that are faith-based, they're going to be able to get you into school. You're going to be able to play athletics. It might not be NCAA, but it's still a really good brand of football. You have your FCS academic schools like your Lehighs, William & Mary's, Howard Universities, where you have that 3.0, 3.4, 3.5 GPA. The academics is really, really high, but the brand of football is really, really high as well. Then you have your public institutions like your Morgan States, your Towson Universities, you know what I mean? Those schools are still FCS in nature, right? But they're public universities where you're going to be able to get a little bit more support from your state school, state funding. You're going to get your Pell Grants. You're going to get your scholarships. You're going to get support from that state funding. And then you got your Division 2 and Division 3 schools, where Division 2, you probably range in between the 2.2 to a 2.5 GPA for your lower level liberal arts type of colleges. And then your higher level academics colleges, you're probably going to range in between the 3.0 and 3.5 to get in. And your Division III schools, if you do not have a 3.2 to 3.5, you're not getting any money. And Division III schools are extremely expensive. And so this is why they target guys who have a 3.5, 3.6 GPA, just because they could give them an athletic package where they're going to at least help them from a financial standpoint to kind of take a little bit of that burden off of them financially paying for school.
Right. So you mentioned a little bit about transferring from school to school to school, and I just want to put it out there, and then you can give me your take on it. When we do transfer, because I had the experience with my son, all your credits don't transfer with you based on your major. So we've got to be mindful when we're transferring from one college or to the next, depending on what your major is. You may lose half those credits along the way. Now, instead of you being 4 years, now you're taking 5 or 6 or 7 years to finish your degree, because you keep transferring from school to school and you don't realize you're losing credits, for every school that you transfer to. So
yes.
Maybe just, from your perspective, just highlight that too. Like,
yeah. So, and again, Howard is different by nature. So we're a transfer restricted school. So even at Howard University, if you have 72 credits, Howard's only going to accept at top 660 of those credits. And so if you see a Howard University student transfer, it's usually a freshman or graduate student, because we are a transfer restricted school. It's some Patriot League schools like Georgetown, like Villanova, like Richmond, who are now within their conference are transfer restricted schools where they can't even have graduate students transfer into their program. So they can only transfer in freshmen, possibly a sophomore. But with the credit piece for us, it's not necessarily that you'll lose credits, but you'll be ineligible for that up and coming season because of PTD. So PTD is just progress towards degree. Every school has it, but every school operates differently. So your private schools will operate with your PTD, where they're going to focus on, hey, if you're a freshman, you take 12 credits in your first semester, 12 credits in your second semester. You have to be to 24 to 30 credits by the end of that year in order to consider yourself a sophomore. Well, the NCAA says you have to have 24 credits by the end of that fall, spring, and summer to be eligible to play football. Well, these academic institutions are saying you have to be a sophomore by PTD before you can play football that next season. And if you're not at that, you're on academic probation, you're taking a 4-game suspension, an 8-game suspension, or you have to sit out the entire year until your credits can catch up to you. And so a lot of times I tell these kids, especially these high school kids, and Coach Powell has seen it in person, like Coach P's seen it in person, like, no, I want to talk to you as young as possible so that you can know once you get into college, you can't make these decisions where you're jumping from school to school to school, because like you said, you will lose credits. And in order to graduate, you have to have your last 30 credits at your home
at that institution.
So kids don't know this. They don't understand this. They're like, yeah, coach, I got 42 credits. My academic advisor at my current institution is saying if I transfer to you guys, all I need is 48 credits before that fall season starts. And I'm like, yes, you do need 48 credits before that fall season starts, but that's not guaranteeing that all 42 credits are going to transfer into my university. And so the conversations I have with them, I just explained to them, hey, look, at Howard University, and this is specifically at your private academic institutions, if the name of the class does not match the name that we teach, we're not counting that credit. I don't care.
Now, caveat, I don't know if it works for your institution, but if the description meets the same, does it can you negotiate that if the descriptions are the same?
It depends on the major. It depends on the major. If you're talking about School of B, no. If you're talking about health and human performance, possibly. If you're talking about engineering and any tech, no, it's probably not. But when you're talking about more of a liberal arts type of piece, 9 times out of 10. And so schools like mine also are trying to cultivate programs to change with the times, where they have something called free electives, where they're allowing free electives to transfer over, so that at least these student athletes who have to transfer, whether it's a death in the family, they want to move closer to home, or a financial situation where they find there's a better opportunity to come closer to home, or be a little bit a little less further out than they once were, or it's just a situation where they see an opportunity now at a Howard, at a Lehigh, a Lafayette, a Stonehill, where it's cheaper to live, it's cheaper to go to school, and it can help their family out a little bit because of NIL as well, because people are getting paid cost of attendance and some NIL packages to kind of help their family out. They're not hindered by that process, but yeah, students who, I tell anybody, if you're a sophomore, you might as well go ahead and graduate before you try to leave school, just because 9 times out of 10, a university isn't held responsible if you do not graduate. You are held responsible if you do not graduate. And at the Power 4 level, at the one of the highest levels, they will try to figure out a way to get you to graduate. But if you're talking about, I want to play professional football, well, that graduation is going to be hindered and it's going to slow down. Like, we had a student athlete who tried out for the pros, was a very successful DB in our conference. It didn't make it. He's now back on campus through our campus ministries, helping him find a place to stay because he's from Florida. Our academic team finding him some support financially to make sure he can pay for his classes, but he's here back for one more semester so he can finish that degree, because he's one semester short and he can't go nowhere else, or he's going to lose 45 credits because your last 30 have to be at your home institution. And that's the other thing. When you transfer so late and you're about to graduate, 9 times out of 10, that program you're trying to graduate from within the university has to accept all of those credits. And that's kind of what hinders people's processes. And so if you got 48 credits to your name and you're a sophomore, you might as well go ahead and finish at your current institution, unless it's a dire situation where you can't control it and you have to go somewhere else. You just got to be careful on where you try to go to. But transferring 2 or 3 times is not smart. It's not wise. It doesn't show any consistency. And then the academia at that university, as administration, is looking at that to see, hey, are you going to hinder our numbers from a graduation rate and a retention rate by coming into this university? Are we taking a risk? What's the risk by allowing you to attend this university? Because your track record says, even in high school, you bounce from school to school to school. And then once you got to college, you did the same thing. What's the risk reward for us from a statistical standpoint, so that we could, because again, these public universities are receiving government aid. Some of these private universities are receiving government aid. And if they don't meet the quotas of their numbers statistically, then they're not going to get the money that they've been getting from these programs. And so they have a standard to uphold. And these students, athletes, and families just need to know and understand, hey, look, I have to be smart about my decisions. I cannot be emotional. One saying we got at Howard right now is it's principles over feelings. And so since it's principles over feelings, we have to operate with high rationale, not high emotion. When rationale is high, emotion is low. When emotion is high, rationale is low. And so everybody has to really operate with the right rationale so that they can make the best decision for them in that situation, not for what the glitz and the glamour looks like in the facilities and all of these things. Like I tell kids at Howard, hey, I'm recruiting you, but you might not be a Howard student athlete, and that's okay. I was not a Howard. I'm from here. I was not a Howard student athlete. I chose not to go. I had an opportunity, but the distractions that were in the city, the distractions that were on campus, I chose to go to Bowie State, where it fit what I needed at that time. And everybody really has to understand that sometimes it's not about money. It's not about prestige. It's about you have to go to school for the right fit so that it can mature you as a person. And then that fit would help you get to where you need to get to.
Got it. Appreciate that's some good information there. Hit a couple of comments first before we go to the next topic. This is my guy, Coach Drip from out of Montgomery County. Says, shout out to Coach Nick. I've heard so many great things about you. This is so needed for the kids and parents. Education is important. I'm gonna skip over this one question because that's going to be covered later. Coach Ash, one of our flag coaches at Law High School, great information. This is so needed for the kids to know these GPAs are very important. This is from the gentleman Jack, who's also on the Sideline Junkies podcast network. I hate to say it, when you actually lose something by transferring, but these kids transferring every year at D1 school don't care about losing credits. That's a good point.
Well, the parents should.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parents should. The boss they checking in said this is great information. One of my young guys, one of my JV players checking in. I'm glad my young guys are listening in. Yeah. This is going to help out so many kids and parents. We got a lot of comments in here tonight, Nick. You popular around here.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love it.
And you know the GOAT coach.
Yeah, my dog. What up, Pete?
Doing your thing. All right. So the next topic we got, we're going to bring up is profile prospects.
All right. So this one for us, is very different, and what I want to be able to do, I want to be able to give you guys profile. So I'm gonna email this to you, Pete, and I need you to share this with everybody so that they can kind of see it. Is it a way I could share my screen so they can see these pictures?
You know what? I'm not sure.
All right, we ain't gonna worry about it.
Yeah.
For the sake of time, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna email this presentation to you, so you can have it, and then your families could kind of see it. But again, I have a whole recruiting manual on what we do, how we do it. So reach out to Coach P and get this manual from me. This manual is specifically for families in the DMV area that are connected to this channel. I want you to be able to have this. I will also be presenting this manual at our junior day on April the 21st. So we will have a junior day, April 21st. I'll make sure all of the graphics come out. My social media is my name. So it's Coach Nick Gould on Twitter and on Instagram. Some people even follow me on Facebook. So please just pay attention to those droppings. I will be doing some other presentations here in the near future locally, but I focus mainly on local talent first, because if I can find somebody locally that I like, equal to somebody that's 100 miles away, what that's going to do is it's going to bring money to our neighborhoods, and I want to be able to highlight neighborhoods. So before I really dive deep into these prospects, what we also do at Howard University, shout out to my defensive coordinator, Coach KJ. He came up with this idea on Thoughtful Thursdays. So Thoughtful Thursdays, if you follow my profile, you'll be able to see that every Thursday we're going to a company in our neighborhood, off of Georgia Avenue, off of North Capitol Street, off of Bryan Street, and purchasing items from this store and being able to purchase it for our student athletes and from this company, just to show them some love, because our student athletes walk all up Georgia Ave, U Street, down at Brooklyn Station and things of that nature. We want them to know who we are and what we're about, and we're about helping the community. And so anytime we can recruit a student athlete that's in the DMV area, that's in our local area, that matches a student athlete in Detroit, Texas, Florida, Georgia, I promise you, we're going to do what we can to get that student athlete in. We have about 2 to 3 guys within the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area already signed to us. We got another one we're going to sign again come Wednesday. And so we want local talent because that's what we build it off of. So specifically for my positions, our quarterback positions, our profile is about 6'2", 200 pounds. If you ever remember Greg McGee at Howard University, shout out to my dog G Money, right? Greg McGee was a really good quarterback for us. He had accuracy, he had touch, he was able to have big arm strength. He had a quick release. He had foot quickness. He had the ability to move within a pocket and outside of the pocket, right? He had great leadership. That was my dog when he was coaching with us. We was golfing every week, probably 2-3 times a week, challenging me. I was challenging him. And it was just that leadership component, right? But he also had that competitive nature to him. But even as a quarterback, you can't be rattled. And so you have to have poise. You have to have good judgment. You have to be able to make sound decisions. And so when I look at that transcript for a quarterback, that transcript for a quarterback has to be really, really good because that the decisions he makes off the field equates to the decision he makes on the field. And so those are some of the things we look at the quarterback position. When it comes down to the running back position, running backs anywhere between 5'11" and 6'1", 205 plus pounds. They could be 190, 195. And again, for these height and weight, it can vary up and it can vary down. It just, if you're shorter and you're lighter, that means you just have to have exceptional speed and quickness for these positions. Because Kalen Newton played quarterback. He was not 6'2". He was not 200 pounds. He had bow legs and he was 5'11", right? He was 200 pounds, but in that backfield, he was different. Like, couldn't people tackle him? He could outrun people. His first college game, we scored 43 points and beat UNLV at UNLV. And so that's what I mean by you have to have exceptional talent. All the things that Greg McGee had, Kalen Newton had, he was just 5'11". He was not 6'6" like his big brother is, but he was still able to be an effective quarterback within the pocket and outside of the pocket. And he was a great leader for us, right? For the running back position, Anthony Filliard was probably the best running back to come through Howard in his recent time, right? He had vision, he had patience, he had instincts, he had initial burst and quickness that he can hit the hole in between the tackles and outside. He had great hands to be able to catch the ball, being a 6'1" running back, 205 pounds with long arms. And he had the speed to be able to hit the home run run. So it didn't matter how you got him the ball, he was able to score touchdowns with his speed and athleticism, right? Leading to the receiver position, it's kind of the same thing for the running back. You have to have acceleration. You have to have burst. You have to have quickness, right? You have to have speed. But the one thing people really don't talk about with the wide receiver position is you have to be able to get in and out of a break without moving vertically. Meaning, right, if I'm getting down in my stance to break down, to cut left or right, I can't then now come back up. I have to be able to sprint forward and go forward and be able to move left, right, vertical, backwards, all without moving up. And that's just that athletic ability and that flexibility. So a lot of my kids who play these skill positions, please stretch, do Pilates, do core stability exercises. Please work on your hips, because some of the kids we got back at the crib right now, they got tight hips. And every morning at 5 o'clock, we're waking up to give them core stability workouts to be able to loosen those hips up. Right at the tight end position, just depends on who you are. Like my guy JJ at Bullis, who ended up going to Maryland. He's at Maryland right now. He's that 6'4", 225-pound kid who eventually will gain weight and put on weight, but he was a track kid as well. So he was more your receiving type of tight end, right? But we had a kid who, Brendan Brown, he was an offensive lineman in high school that converted to tight end. He was about 6'5", 250 pounds, who was a really good blocker, had really good knee and hip flexion, and had good flexibility, and he was able to block, right? Again, Brandon was a former offensive lineman, so he could move people against his will, but then he was also taught angles. As a tight end and an offensive lineman, you have to understand blocking angles, because again, I'm not going to be able to move everybody out of the box every single time, but if I just get in their way long enough, the running back, quarterback, or receiver can get through me or get around me to be able to score a touchdown, right? He has to have ball skills. He has to have hands just like a receiver, but he does have to have toughness. He's got to be able to put his nose in the fan and go ahead and block somebody and dig somebody out. When you're talking about offensive linemen are one of our key components. Zion Rogers is a local offensive lineman from Gonzaga High School that we picked up last year. He's a really good player. He's great in pass pro. He's about 6'5", 270 pounds now, right? Coming out of high school, he may have been 250, right? But he decided, I'm going to dedicate my life to putting on some weight because I want to be that 6'5", 6'6", 300-pound kid who mauls people up and down the field. He has athleticism. He has great change of direction and bendability at the hips, knees, and ankles. And he has a nasty demeanor. I mess with him all the time, being from the area, because I want you to have a nasty demeanor, because on that football field, we can't be nice.
We're not friends.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's nothing nice about what we do. Off the field, yeah, you can shake our hands, dab us up, talk to us all you want, but on that football field, we are not in between those whistles. And I'm sorry what I'm about to say. In between those whistles, I don't care if my grandmother's standing in front of me. My grandma got to get it. Franny's going to the cooler. I'm sorry. It's part of the game, right? But again, they have to have good base, good leverage, good initial quickness. Our offensive tackles need to be a little bit longer, like Zion was. We had a kid, Darius Fox, coming out of DeMatha High School, who just graduated 2 years ago, right? He was about 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", 270, 285 pounds, who was a really good player for us. Jamal Hines, shout out to Jamal Hines too. He was a swing guard tackle for us who was like 6'4", 300. Defensive line.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say that prospect list will be great for our players and parents to see that, because then they'll kind of have an idea of what my kid needs to do in order to get to that next level. So that's some good information, but you're going to send that to Coach Powell, and then we can just send it out. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, once you see it, you realize how detailed I am. Like I'm a very detailed person.
Yeah, that's some good information.
You want to see everything you need to see. Of course, I'm not reading it, but it's some details in there that you'll be able to see to figure it out. And it's just crazy. Most of the guys that are on here that I'm talking about are local guys, which again, I want to keep talking about local recruiting. Defensive line wise, our defensive ends 6'4", 240, 6'2", 275, 260 for our interior guys. Darian Brokenberg came out of Woodbridge, Virginia. He was about maybe 6'3", 212 pounds soaking wet when he came to us. After a year of training and development, he ended up being 245 pounds. And so that's why I say that 240-pound range, because you can come in at 215, you can come in at 220 and be able to put on the weight by coming with our weight program. And so those guys, again, those defensive linemen have to be faster and quicker than offensive linemen just by nature. They have to have twitch. They have to have explosiveness. They have to have a really good, quick first step, and they have to have athleticism. Why? Because you have to change direction and move and have really good feet as a defensive lineman. If you don't, it's going to be very difficult for you to play that position. Again, just like offensive line and tight end, you have to be able to bend well at the hips, knees, and ankles. If you do not bend well at the hips, knees, and ankles, then it's going to be a struggle to play that position, because I have to lean up against somebody and extend my arms and hunker down so they don't push me out of the way. So bending, squatting, all of those form positions, those static positions, you have to be able to be good with being in those holes. Linebacker-wise, Aiden Foster from out of Gonzaga High School is probably one of the best prospects we didn't have at Howard in a long time. Now, we just sent a linebacker to Arkansas University to play linebacker, and Jaquavion Smith, who just left. Really great kid, really great player. I probably shed a couple tears or two, me and my wife did, for him leaving, but I'm happy for that kid to be able to get to do what he wants to do at the level he wants to do it at. But that just leaves room for more kids like Aiden Foster to come in and show that he can play the position as well. I like guys at 6'1", 6'2", 210 to 220 pounds, right? Change the direction, just like the defensive linemen are a must. Flexion at the hips, knees, and ankles are almost a must at this position, because we we do what the defensive linemen do and what the DBs do. And so we have to be able to bend. We have to be able to be flexible. I like guys with long arms, right? And the reason why I like guys with long arms because if the offensive linemen are 6'5" and 6'4", we got to be able to get off of their blocks. And the only way to get off of their blocks if we have some length as well. And we have to be able to cover those 6'4" tight ends. And the only way to cover 6'4" tight ends is with a 6'3", 6'2", 6'3" linebacker. I can't be 5'11" thinking I'm going to cover a 6'4" tight end very well just because he has 5 inches already on me in height and length.
For sure.
And let's not talk about if his wingspan is already longer than his height. It's going to be very difficult.
Gonna work out well. Yep,
yeah, you know what I mean? So, but just like the quarterback position, the linebacker has to be able to make good decisions on and off the field. We've seen so many times in social media and in this world in our lifetime where a linebacker got in trouble because he was either too aggressive, he had a bar fight, he did something he wasn't supposed to be doing, he had an inappropriate relationship with a female. Like, it's just the nature of our jobs and what we do playing this sport. We cannot carry the field onto the classroom or onto the campus. So we got to be able to make smart decisions. We have to be a great leader. We got to have some toughness and tenacity with us. And so I talk to my players wild and crazy at times because I don't want them to be messed up if somebody's talking trash to them on the field and now we're getting a penalty. And so they know I love them, but they know I'm going to troll them at the same time. And so it's a love-hate relationship. It's a couple of my local guys in the room with me. They try to get on me all the time. And I say, hey, man, I grew up in D.C. in the 90s. Like, words don't hurt me.
So before we lose your Coach Gould, because we have about 12 minutes left.
Okay.
I know Coach Powell was going to talk about what were we talking about? Portal.
Ooh, yes.
Transfer portal. We can just touch on that for a little bit, and then maybe leave 5 minutes at the end for questions if anybody has any.
So this one's going to be short and sweet, just because I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. So this transfer portal is kind of messing it up, but not. So all it is, the transfer portal is doing is bringing reality back to high school recruiting, meaning guys will not be over recruited any longer. They will be recruited for the level that their exposure tells them that they're at. And unfortunately, if people keep going to Maryland and Ohio State and Penn State camps, and they're not going to the Howards, the Morgans, the Towsons, the William and Marys, the Richmonds, the Bridgewaters, the Bowie States, the Catholic universities, if they're not going to those camps for exposure, then they're going to kind of be left out to dry. Because let's face it, at anybody's regular job, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get fired. So now, because of social media and just the time that we're in with our coaching jobs, if we don't do what we're supposed to do within 1 or 2 years, we're fired. And so guys are starting to lean more to the transfer portal to get experience in their room. For guys like Kirk Signetti, he's proven that the transfer portal is successful when you do it the right way. You're getting experience in your room paired up with youth in your room to develop your program. You're not going to the transfer portal to build your program, but you're just there to fill in holes to develop your program. So the transfer portal is not going anywhere, but people just have to be a little bit more strategic and smart about exposure for their young man and their student athlete so that they can get to the right school that they need to get to.
So quick question on that. What's your percentage of recruiting in terms of from the transfer portal in a year, right? So from the transfer portal versus high school, like what's your percentage of recruiting there, or how much do you go after those high school students that are on the line?
For us, again, academic in nature, we signed 12 kids in December from high school. The year before, we signed 18 kids from high school. If we go to the transfer portal, it's for a graduate student for 1 semester. And so for us, by nature, it's going to be kind of 80-20. With this new staff coming in, I was able to be retained with Coach Ted White. Shout out to Coach Ted White. He's a great leader, great man of integrity and character. With him and the new staff coming in, So they want a little bit more experience because we had a lot of experience leave. And so
Right.
about 25 to 30% of our recruits coming in for next year will be transfer guys, but the majority of our bases will always be high school
High
kids.
school. Okay, that's
We
good
have
to know.
to we have to recruit high school kids, and fortunately, we will always be one of those schools that people pluck kids from instead of us getting transfers back
Mm.
in. We're always going to have to refill with high school kids.
Perfect. Perfect. Any
Yeah, that
questions
was
in the
one of the questions in the chat. How hard is it now to keep a kid that has a great year and the bigger schools see them and tries to get them from the portal?
It's impossible. So that kid I told you that went to Arkansas, he was not a full starter. He did play significant time, but I also had a conversation with him after game 2 and said, you got a decision to make by the end of the year because people are
Mhm.
going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to see you and they're going to want to pay you. And you got to make a decision on what it's going to take for you to leave. And so for us, our 4-year institutions that are FCS and D2 schools, we are now going to turn into your mini JUCOs, where we're going to develop a kid for 2 years and send
You're
him to
gone.
that bigger institution where he
Right.
can make his dreams come true in his mind. Selfishly, I think you can still do what you need to do at Howard, but we're a developmental program at this point where we're developing a kid for that P4 level if he chooses that route. We had a kid go to Arkansas, we had a kid go to Arizona, we had a kid go to JMU, and I'm missing one more. We had a kid go to LA Tech down in Louisiana. And so for us at this present moment, the year before we had a kid go to Syracuse, right? So at this present moment, all of the kids that we have in our program, we're developing them for life, we're developing them for football, and we're developing them for future careers. It just so happens that some of these guys may have an opportunity to play at the Power Four level at your Ohio States, your Michigans, your Arkansas, your Auburns. We did have a couple kids go to Auburn as well, and that's just the state of the game right now.
So what's your advice for the high school players? What should high school players do with their recruiting?
Right now, they got to go to camp when they're in the 8th and 9th grade. And when I say go to camp in the 8th and 9th grade, you have your red zone prep camps. You have some of your rival camps and some of these camps where it's just a national preps camps. Go there so that you could be in a recruiting database. By getting in a recruiting database and getting your name out there from a publication standpoint, it gives you more exposure. I wouldn't purchase anything right away. I would try to do my research on that, but just get your name out there as early as you can. Continue to develop your skills and develop your tools. But around 9th to 10th grade, that's when I would start to go to these exposure camps. So I would go to one Power 4 camp. I would go to 2 to 3 Division 2 or FCS camps, because the other thing is we are also going to these Power 4 camps. So it's not like just coming to our camp is going to be it. No, I go to University of Maryland. I go to Penn State. We've been to Clemson, Virginia Tech, Bowie State, Catholic University. We go to all these camps. And so once you expose yourself in these camps, now those times you have from your 40, your vertical, and all of these things, they just match what you do on the field. Because at the end of the day, your film is everything. Your film and your transcript is everything. So that has to be solid gold. Now, you got to also understand football is a height, weight, speed sport. And so if we're talking about height, weight, speed, you 5'9", 160 pounds, you're not playing linebacker at the Division I level. So we kind of got to be realistic of where we want to go and how we want to get there. And hey, Day little baby might be really, really good for Beacon House, but
not on the next level.
If he don't grow,
Yeah.
ain't nobody losing their job over a kid who's a really great kid and a really good player, but he just doesn't fit the physical tools that we need at that level.
Right.
And it's okay. I went to Bowie State University. In the past 10 to 15 years, there's 4 to 5 players that went to the NFL from Bowie State University. So again, the dream is not deferred. It's a plan and a process. you have to go through. But high school players just need exposure as early as possible to get around these programs. Because again, the programs are recruiting you, but you're recruiting these programs. Because if the program doesn't match your fit, don't force it. Like, if it's not a fit for you, it's not a fit for you. Like,
Right.
that's not what we want to do. We want to be in a program where it fits character, it fits academic, and it fits vision of what we want to do.
Well, we lost Coach Powell for a little bit, so he should be coming back. But no, that's some good information. I don't see anything. Oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
I don't see anything else in the group chat. We lost you for a second there, Coach Powell. Coach Gould was just wrapping up. I know we have a couple minutes left.
So yeah, I don't see any other questions in there, Coach. And I apologize with the hard stop we got at 8 o'clock tonight because we got another show coming on afterwards. So briefly,
hey, we could do this as many times as you need to.
Look, I was just about to say I'm gonna hit you up and see when you can come back on, because there's some great information, man, and these kids need to hear it because some of these kids their minds are so warped on what the recruiting process is and what level they can play on, and they just don't understand the landscape and, like you say, the profiles for players on the D1 level. You know, everybody wants to be a D1 football player, but realistically, like you said, if you're 5'7", unless you run in a 4.2, it's going to be very hard for you to get on the D1 level.
Yes.
So, you know, the kids need to hear this. You know, it's a hard reality they have to face. And, you know, that's one thing I believe with my players is I'm going to tell you the truth.
That part.
Like, I'm going to tell you the truth. You might think you're going to go play at Maryland, but 9 times out of 10, I tell them the story of my son. When my son was coming out in 2019, 2020, I took him to Maryland. He played linebacker. My son was 5'9" and a half. You know, he was good size, 5'9", 220. But when he went to the linebacker room, everybody in there was 6'2", 6'3". Yep. I'm looking up at him like, man, these damn grown ass men.
Yeah, rethink it. You have to rethink that.
Right. So
he was in the wrong room.
That part.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was in the wrong room, man. I was doubting myself for a second, like, man, how old am I? But I appreciate it, man. And like I said, we're gonna be in touch because we got to get you on again, man, to spit this knowledge.
Absolutely.
You know, when I was thinking about this show, man, I was like, it's only two coaches I know from the area that's gonna keep it real, and that was you and Dre. And I was like, I got to get one of you on here, man. So I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Anything y'all need, y'all got access to me. If we need to do a meet and greet at the university once spring practice starts to bring families up, I'm more than willing to come to a community center. It doesn't matter because I'm a parent myself, and I didn't start this thing to be famous. I started this thing to help families, and so whatever I could do to help families in the community to really understand what this process is, I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Appreciate you, Coach.
All right, I appreciate that, man. And I thank everybody for checking in tonight and listening to the words and wisdom from Coach Nick Gould, Howard University. And like I said, we're going to bring them back so we can talk about this some more, because this could be a 2-hour conversation or even more.
Yes, 100%.
So I appreciate everybody, man, and everybody have a good night. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see y'all next Monday night at 7 p.m.
See you guys.
Y'all have a good one. Stay blessed.
You too.